Hi again. This is a video with lots of different types of information in it for you, continuing on with print production information, but also covering things like resolution and printing terms, different kinds of images, colors, and file types. So a lot of good and varied information here for you. By the way, this image on the title slide here, and by the way too, this PowerPoint is in your resources for week 2, I believe, so you can follow along. I have edited it a little bit, but the basic information is in the classroom for you. This image here shows your file or your image saved with printer's marks, and in a later video I'm going to show you how to create a PDF file using and displaying these printer's marks. And this is the type of thing that someone who's printing your piece would want to refer to for registration and alignment, for cropping and trimming and different color information as well. First, let's talk about resolution, and some of you may know this, but some of you may still be learning it. Basically, resolution means the quality of an image, okay? And the higher the number of pixels or picture elements or dots per inch, the better quality the image is, okay? The term PPI refers to pixels per inch, and it's what you see on a computer screen. It's the number of picture elements per linear inch, okay? So if an image is what we call high resolution, there are many different pixels within an inch on that image, okay? If it's low resolution, there are fewer. Most of the images you get on the internet are considered low res because they need to be smaller, so they load faster. So 72 PPI is a standard for screen-based images on the internet, and there is some variance, but 72 seems to be a standard. Whereas for higher resolution images that need to be printed and look good, between 250 and 300 pixels per inch is the printing standard, and again there is some variation in there. DPI means dots per inch, and it's the same concept, but it refers to literal dots of ink. So when you create a high resolution, a high PPI file, when it goes to the printer, it will print out with the high dots per inch, and it will look good, okay? Now, something that you want to remember, and this is really important, is that anytime you have a bitmapped image, also known as a pixel-based image, something made in Photoshop, and something that is resolution dependent, you can't make it larger without losing image quality. Okay, here we have a small image. It is a bitmap or a pixel-based image, and let's just say that this was 300 dots per inch at this size. If we go to make it larger, we still have the 300 dots per inch, but they actually become lower because all of a sudden you're asking it to take up more real estate, and so the pixels have to cover a larger area. So it is no longer 300 PPI, it's much lower because you are asking it to be larger. So you can't blow up or enlarge something that's pixel based without losing image quality, and that's something to definitely keep in mind. You can't make it higher resolution. You can take away image resolution. You can ask it to become lower res, but you can't make it higher, okay? So that's something to keep in mind. If you want to use an image from the internet, it's probably going to be low resolution and you aren't going to be able to make it better quality, okay? So that's, you know, something to, some of us have to learn that the hard way. I know that I did, but it's good to keep in mind. So anything that's pixel based is also called a bitmap image. Okay, so if you see that term, you'll know that it means the same thing. Now, a vector image is something else. A vector image is made using a program like Illustrator, and InDesign also uses vectors. And they are not made with pixels. They're created using mathematical formulas or constructs known as Bezier curves. You create objects in these programs. No pixels are used. What does that mean? It means that it is resolution independent. You can enlarge anything made in a vector program literally infinitely. You can make it huge and it will not degrade in any way. And that's fabulous, okay? For something like a logo, you could design it in Illustrator, and that logo could be blown up to fit on a billboard, and it could be shrunk down to fit on a coffee cup and it would still look the same. So the vector images are very versatile that way. And Illustrator's done a very good job of creating color blends and image tracing that can give you almost a photographic effect to some images. It's come a long way in the past several years, and it's used very widely in the graphic design world. And I recommend that any graphic designer gets to know Illustrator and its wide versatility. You can see examples of a pixelated bitmapped image down here compared to a nice clean vector. Okay, so that's what these two terms mean, and they're good to know about. Next we have file types. Some of these you may be familiar with, such as JPEG and PDFs. I'm going to talk about PDFs in a later video. Other file formats you may be familiar with or maybe not is TIFF, Tagged Image File Format, and this is a pixel-based and resolution-dependent format. It's a way to save Photoshop files. It's a pretty good quality, but of course the image itself has to be good quality to begin with. Encapsulated PostScript EPS files can be either vector or bitmapped. They're not used quite as much. I don't use EPS files as much as the other ones. JPEG, of course, is very common. A lot of file types and attachments are JPEGs, and we're very familiar with them. A lot of images from the internet come down as JPEGs. It is, however, pixel-based and resolution-dependent. These are pixel-based images. The PDF stands for Portable Document Format, and it is a way for people to look at files created in programs such as Photoshop or InDesign, and you don't have to have that software on your computer to view a PDF file. You just have to have Acrobat. So it's a really good way to save files for portable use. Halftones and line screens. We're jumping into a little printing here. You'll notice that line screens, such as are being used here, is a way to interpret an image. And then halftone screens are these dots, and you can see the different tints and the different sizes and proximity of the dots to create the different tones and shades. And this picture of the woman's eye is a great example of halftone screens used in a very subtle way to delineate the shades and tones that make up her eye. And this is how halftone printing is achieved. And if you looked closely at a halftone printed piece, you would see these dots and how they change and alter to create the image. Pantone colors. Pantone is a company that has pretty much standardized the printing color industry, or the printing industry's use of color. It's considered the industry standard. There are other colors out there, other systems, but Pantone is the go-to one pretty much. And you will see on your programs, Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign too, that you can choose different Pantone swatch palettes, and you can choose Pantone colors to save into your swatch palettes in your programs. And they come with numbers. They're named with numbers, and on the computer you also get the CMYK or the RGB number equivalents, and the numerical equivalents are really helpful because you can jot down the different numbers, give those numbers to your printer person, and they will know exactly what color you want. So it really helps with customization and also color matching. You know exactly what you're going to get if it's a Pantone color. That's really helpful. These examples here are color swatch books that Pantone puts out. They're really kind of expensive, a couple $100 for a set of these, but they last for years, and they list the different colors, and also they have them on different different paper stocks, so that you know what this yellow would look like, for instance, on a glossy paper as opposed to a matte paper. This swatch book here shows what a duotone would look like in the different color inks with photographs. So these are really helpful for people who do a lot of professional printing. Next we have examples of different printing colors. This is a one color job, obviously grayscale, black and white, nice range of tones there. This is a two-color job. Now this is a way to save money. Just use two different colors of ink, but notice the tints and the shades of the different colors. You can get a wide range of tones by using tints and darker shades of these two basic colors. This one is a three-color job. Now it looks just like two colors, but what's happening here is there's two different colors here, process black and 179, and the third color is called a spot varnish. It goes through the press 3 times, but that third time, this is a clear varnish that's only applied to certain parts of the image, such that when it's printed, and if you held it up to the light, you can't see it here, but if you held it up to the light, certain parts of that print would have the shiny varnish applied and certain parts would remain matte, and so it's a very classy, elegant effect to use. So spot varnish is something that is you can consider for a nice elegant effect. You pay for the third color of the ink even though it's clear. This is called spot color. When you use actual Pantone colors, they're custom mixed like you would mix a gallon of paint, and then they're run through the press once, or in the Smirnoff case twice, with different spot colors. And this Pantone 485, also 484, those are considered the Coca-Cola red, specifically for that company. This is a 6-color job. Now with these pieces, what's happening is it goes through the 4-color process with these 4 here. It's run through again with a Pantone spot color for this blue, and then the spot varnish is applied to certain areas of the piece. Okay, so this job ran through the press 6 different times. So you can imagine that registration is really essential with something like this because it passes through so many different times. Lastly, to finish, we're going to talk about getting a print bid, and this is something you're going to be doing in one of your assignments. So these are the kinds of things you want to ask the printer about to get the right price. Okay, the paper size. How big is the paper that's going to be used? What type of finish does it have? I'm going to come back to the color numbers in just a moment, but you'll also be asking about the paper weight, different pounds. The higher the number, the thicker the paper, and certain ones are called cover, certain ones are called cardstock. So you want to ask about that. You want to ask about the paper type. Again, what kind of finish does it have? Is it glossy? Is it matte? What color is it? What grade? What quality level is it? Those all factor into the price. And then the due date, of course, can factor into the price. If it's a rush job, for instance, it would be more expensive. Now back to these numbers. What does this mean? I have a website here for you that will answer that question. And here's the web address for you. And what do terms like 4/4, etc. mean? 4/4 is pronounced 4/4 and means there are 4 ink colors applied to the front and 4 applied to the back. So this page goes and tells you what this is and how to refer to it. So this is really helpful. If you were going to a printer, you would know how to ask for what you want, and of course the different numbers cost a different amount. So I'm hopeful that this kind of potpourri of information has been helpful for you and helps you move along with your image resolution, but also with your printing specs. Thanks.